Hey guys, it's been a while. It's good to be back. I'm just going to touch on a few things. I don't want to make this video too terribly long. A lot of my videos have been pretty long, so I'm going to try to keep this one a little bit shorter. Um, Bound for Glory, obviously, many people have made reviews about it. I'm not going to review it. I didn't really see it. I've seen a few matches of it. It looked pretty good. From what I've read of the results, it seemed pretty good. I'm happy all the younger guys went over, so that was a big positive. I noticed that the attendance was actually pretty low from reading. There was only like 2,400 people, and that arena holds like 5,000 people, so that was a bit troubling to me, just the fact that I don't really think TNA sells places out very much. Because I was at Bound for Glory last year, and the Sears Center holds like 11,000 people, and they got 6,000 in there. The whole upper deck was completely empty, so I just think that's a bit worrisome that TNA isn't really selling out arenas just yet. But that'll come with time. I was actually at the house show this Friday in Chicago. There's about 300, 400 people there. It's nice. It's a good atmosphere to be in with less people because you feel more part of the show. It's a pretty cool atmosphere to be in. Most of the shows I've gone to have been WWE, and there's like 15, 16,000 people there. I mean, it's cool to be there with a lot of people, but to be in a smaller venue, it's a different experience. It's pretty nice. I was actually like 3 or 4 feet away from Kip James, so that was pretty cool. Because we were actually sitting next to the tunnel where the wrestlers would come out to watch the matches after the show in plain clothes and stuff, and saw quite a few people like Kip James, Rhino, Alex Shelley, ODB. D'Lo Brown was actually there. I think he's a road agent for WWE, for TNA, excuse me. So that was a pretty cool experience. Impact this week was pretty good. I thought it's kept me. TNA's keeping me intrigued though. The Angle apparently turning face, but I doubt it. I'm sure he'll turn back heel. And the Main Event Mafia, I don't think is dead just yet. Shane McMahon obviously resigning, also in the news. Big shocker. I saw it and I was just like, yeah, it was just shocking to me, just like it was for everyone else. But good for him. Hopefully, he'll be able to do whatever else he wants to do in his life outside of WWE. Good for him. Now to the big topic of the video that I want to cover. The wrestling industry, now this is a crazy idea, so I hope you're sitting down. The wrestling industry must become more about the wrestlers themselves. Crazy, I know. What I mean by that is, I touched on it in my last video about the house shows, and I want to go deeper on that. That wrestling, it doesn't need to be 300 days a year, these guys wrestling day in, day out, never seeing their families, and you wouldn't see guys getting hurt so much. You wouldn't see guys being injured on the injured list constantly, and you wouldn't see guys there's usually in WWE, it seems there's always one top guy that's got a major injury. And I've actually come up with a system that I think would actually work pretty well for WWE. Granted, I understand that less house shows hurts the revenue of the company, but I think they'd be able to deal with it. Monday night would be Raw, obviously. Then Tuesday would be SmackDown ECW taping. Wednesday would be a Raw house show. Thursday would be the SmackDown ECW house show. Then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think the wrestlers get the day off. Except for the Sunday is once a month where they would have a pay-per-view. This would vastly cut down how many their workload. I've actually done the math, and that would cut it down to 221 days a year. That's down pretty significantly from what their average workload is now in WWE. It's about 260 to 300 days a year, give or take. That would cut down pretty big. You wouldn't see so many wrestlers hurt. They would be able to see their families and their kids and their wives and all that stuff. And their husbands, of course. And that's for the divas, not for Billy and Chuck. But I think it would be a big positive to make wrestling more about the wrestlers, and I assume that the morale in the locker room would improve. But it won't happen because of the money. Now, a way I think WWE would be able to lower the brunt of the hit they would take in revenue from less house shows, is by cutting down on the cosmetic bullcrap that they don't need, like stages. Why do we need these huge, massive, over-the-top stages? No one comes to show to see the stage or how cool the stage is going to be. Granted, yes, it is pretty cool to see some of these stages, but there's no the health and well-being of the wrestler is a lot more important than how cool a stage can be. I mean, we don't need huge stages for every pay-per-view or every show. WrestleMania I could deal with having a big, giant, over-the-top stage for that because it's the biggest show of the year. But not only would that cut down on expenses, but you would also have a lot more tickets that you could sell because you wouldn't have to tarp off an entire section of an arena because of the stage being there. I know Allstate Arena has an entire section of thousands of seats that they have to tarp off for each stage every time they come to Allstate. So it'd be it'd be a lot more of a positive than a negative. I understand that Vince McMahon would probably think, oh, we're not going to go back in time and have to go back to the way it was in the 90s when we had small stages, blah, blah, blah. But it's a useless thing. We don't need stages. Another thing that I think is a bit unnecessary is how much pyro. Like, you can have pyro for certain guys, but every guy now, it seems, every wrestler has pyro. Every single wrestler has pyro, even if they don't need it. Why does Kofi Kingston have to have pyro when he's going like this? Why does there have to be explosions? What's the need for it? Why does Edge have to have pyro? And he has the same exact pyro that Kurt Angle does, essentially. I just don't see why every single wrestler in WWE has to have pyro. It's the same for TNA, but TNA's pyro isn't exactly... TNA's pyro actually, I think, is worse because it's just like sparklers. Ooh. I just don't see... I just think pyro is very overrated. I mean, for certain things it's pretty cool, but I just think it's overused. Obviously, I still think they need to get rid of Superstars, the show, on WG in America, who very few people get WG in America. I've seen like one full show. I just think it's useless. And then another thing that I want to touch on, I'll touch on it real quick because it's not going to happen, but a wrestlers union would be very beneficial for obviously the wrestlers. Every sport has it. Most of work facilities have a union. Besides WWE, TNA is a smaller type company, but WWE is a big, huge, mega industry, and they have no union for the wrestlers. Obviously, Vince McMahon won't let it happen because he's the one pulling the strings and he's the one that decides everything, pretty much. But I would think a lot of wrestlers would see their salaries going up, even with the cutting of house shows. Actually, they'd probably stay about level. Because I think Vince McMahon, in all honesty, I'm sure that he probably is a bit stingy on how much he pays some of the wrestlers. Because, I mean, what are they going to do about it? He's the big guy. Obviously, it's human nature. He's going to want to save money. So if they have a wrestlers union, they can negotiate for better contracts and better benefits and stuff like that. But again, it probably would never happen, but it's just a thought. Let me know if you agree that wrestling needs to become more about the wrestlers, or if you disagree and you think that it's just the way it is. Subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys later. And it was good to be back, and keep a lookout for my next video.